Thank you for joining me for another episode of Flow with Tarot. This is our segment where we're just diving into a deck. We're taking our time to go through each card. And before I get started, I want to say this. If you're watching this, all right, I'm recording this on Saturday morning, March 14th, 2026 at 10:42 Central Standard Time, 10:42 a.m. I'm pretty sure you could figure out that it was AM because of the sun that's coming in. Anyway, and I know you're watching this, and I am confident that this week you stayed in your bag. By bag, I mean your magical bag, your spiritual bag, that you were intentional about applying your spiritual technology to whatever challenge that you're facing in your life. And what I want to tell you is that you've done the work. Don't go back to that work again. Whatever ritual you did, whatever working you did, you don't need to revisit it. Just let it be. Don't touch it. Let the work work. Okay. So let us pull a card. Let's see which card wants to come out and play today. So I'm just pulling from the front. All right. Oh, so this one is the Four of Swords. Four of Swords. So this is another card that I love because to me, this card shows an individual, let me say it like this. This card reminds us to know when to rest, know when to speak. Well, first of all, know when to rest and know when to act and know when to take action and to experience harmony in um, those two expressions. Okay, knowing when to rest and knowing when to do something. Also, this card reminds us to know when to speak and know when to just observe and watch and listen. Okay. These things are things that we know. But when you are in the thick of something, in the thick of a challenge, there are moments when, for example, with knowing when to rest and when to take action, when you're in the thick of something, your first reaction uh, could be to think, well, what do I need to do to get out of this? Or what do I need to say to get out of this? Instead of taking a pause and taking a rest. Because when you are in the middle of something, of course there will be inspired action that you will be expected to take, that you are responsible to take, that you will be accountable in your action. Okay? But all to get a desired result. But also know that part of you taking action is resting, is contemplation. Contemplation is observing, resting, and allowing yourself to be in contemplation. That is also an action. Those are also action steps. We have been programmed to believe that if we are not moving around, if we are not using our hands, if we're not walking somewhere, if we're not typing something, if we're not talking, we must not be working. That is false. For you to sit in silence, that is also an action. For you to take a moment and to observe even the challenge itself, no matter if it's a big challenge. Well, a challenge is a challenge. So let's not, I won't even label it as big or small. A challenge is a challenge. Okay. You look at the challenge, just look at it, just observe it. That is an action. That is an action. And what does that teach us? What is this? Another thing that this card teaches us is to not be reactive, is to not be reactive. We can apply this to a challenge. We can also apply this to people. Now, this also, I'm not saying that. So let me back up. When you're applying this to people, it does not mean that you allow someone to cross your boundaries, whether it's physically, whether they're attempting to cross the boundaries physically, or even in what they say. I'm not telling you to take abuse of any kind. What I am saying is that I feel that this card is reminding us to pause first. Is this something that I need to respond to right away? Is this something where I need to gather more information before I respond, whatever that response looks like? Do I need to look at the environment? Do I need to look around me before I respond, before I take an action? Also, I feel like this applies to what I said at the top of this video about how if you have done workings, spiritual workings, energetic workings, alchemical workings, know when to take your hand off of the work and let it, you rest and let the work do its thing. Just because you're not getting, or just because you're not seeing with your physical eye the results that you desire in that moment or right away, just because the result that's coming out does not look like what your ego is telling you that it should look like, it doesn't mean that your work is not working. Even when you're doing spiritual working, you have to know when to back off and when to rest and when to observe. In your observation and in your rest, you will start to see things unfold. And you will start to realize, okay, the way that this is unfolding, no, it doesn't look like what my ego is saying it should look like. But in this unfolding is producing the result that I desire. So you have to let it unfold. And that's what I feel like this card in this moment is reminding us to do. Rest is taking action. Contemplation is taking action. Rest, contemplation, and what was the other one? Knowing when to back off. That is taking action. Allowing your work to unfold. Your allowing is taking action. Your receiving is also a form of you taking action. Knowing when to, because in that, when you expand into that, when you really embrace and really embody, not just embrace, but embody that rest is action, contemplation is action, backing off of your own working is taking action. You'll know going forward what to look for. What words am I'm looking for some words. But you'll be more adept in knowing what to look for and knowing when to pull out your swords, knowing when to speak, and knowing when you have to just observe. You'll know when to go to war, so to speak, and when to observe. And it takes practice, which is why we call it a spiritual practice, because it is a practice. Okay. So yeah, that was good. That was good. I didn't expect for all of that to come up with this card right now. But let me know what your takeaways are. Let me know the first thoughts that came to your mind, how you felt as soon as I showed you this card. So let me know in the comments, and we will keep going. All right. Until then, stay magical.